Hi, you're probably thinking, why is this girl in her car? Well, I kind of wanted to do one of those what I read in a week videos, and it is a new week. It is currently Monday. I just arrived at work. It's like 7:30. I already read a bit. I'm currently reading Orlando by Virginia Woolf for our book club. I go to a book club every single month. This month's pick is Orlando by Virginia Woolf. So I've been listening a bit to the audiobook. I also have a physical copy of this book, so I might just alternate. I'll give you like a more concrete synopsis of this book later on, but now I'm going to go into work and I'll catch you later. So as you can tell, it is much later. I had a full day at work and then I went home, worked out a bit, as you can tell from the previous clip, and then I just chilled a bit. Apologies for how I look. My hair is super frizzy because I exercised with it, so just, you know, don't mind this. But I kind of wanted to go over the books that I'm planning to read this week. As I said, I'm currently reading Orlando by Virginia Woolf. This is kind of like a peculiar book to summarize. Essentially, this book is kind of like a biography about a fictitious man called Orlando. It is inspired, I think, by a real life friend of Virginia's called Vida Westville or something like that. Vida Sackville West. Vida Sackville West. I'll just put it here below in text because I'm probably butchering that. They were friends / lovers in real life. You know, they were roommates, and this book is supposedly inspired by this woman. And Orlando in this book spans across like 4 centuries, like he lives 4 centuries, and he also, or they also, gender bend. I don't know what pronouns I'm supposed to be using for this one. Now it's he, but it'll switch, I suppose. One of the things I've noticed a lot with this one is that the narrator is very present in the story. They are also kind of trying to make you think a certain way about Orlando as a character, like they're influencing how you're supposed to perceive him, her, them. For example, in the beginning of the book, there is this scene where Orlando is essentially like cheating on their significant other, but the narrator goes like, oh yeah, but you should not mind him too much. Don't judge him too badly. This is very typical for the Elizabethan era. You can expect this kind of behavior in this era. The narrator is kind of justifying Orlando's questionable behavior by putting it into like perspective that this is very common for the time period. Like, I'm very curious where this is gonna go, because I have no clue. This is such a strange book. I don't think I've ever read anything like this. For the other books, I wanted to read Heartstopper. I've read all of the Heartstopper books up until the newest one, which is volume 5. This is also supposedly like the last one in the series, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least that's what I've heard. This is like supposed to wrap up the story. It's also quite quick to go through. I have been putting this one off for a very long time just because I kind of don't want this story to end, but yeah, at some point I need to read this. This is one of the picks that I'm probably gonna be reading this week, and aside from that, hold on. I have like 3 options. I was reading the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels in my like last video where I was like doing a read with me, but I haven't really been continuing it, not because I don't like it, but I think I'm very much a mood reader and I'm just not in the mood for this for some reason. I'm not gonna force it. I'm not gonna continue reading this just because I feel like I have to, but I have 2 other options. First one is the Wilde Encyclopaedia of Faeries. I've been wanting to read this for a very long time. It's a very popular book on Book Talk. It's a cozy fantasy and I'm a sucker for cozy fantasy. It is great if you're not into immense world building. Like, I don't like having books where it takes me so much brain power to figure out what the hell's going on. Typically, cozy fantasies are very low stakes. They don't require a lot of thinking, and I'm kind of in the mood for that kind of book. This is essentially about Emily Wilde, who is a scholar, and she is working on creating an encyclopedia encyclopedia of fairies. So she travels to, I think it's like Ireland or Scotland, like some kind of country. Her goal is to observe the fairies there and talk with the locals and figure out how these creatures live. And there's also this rival scholar that is also at the town, and they become kind of like rivals to lovers, academic rivals to lovers. I love that trope, so yeah, might pick this one up. And the second option is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. She wrote the Shadow and Bone series, but also Six of Crows, and this has been a highly anticipated release for a lot of people. I have mainly picked this one up because it seemed nowhere near any of the books that she had written before, so I was quite intrigued. It takes place in Madrid, and we follow Lucia Cortado, who uses scraps of magic to get through her days of endless toil. But when her scheming mistress discovers her scullion is hiding a talent for little miracles, she demands Lucia use those gifts to win over the royal court. Also, just this cover. I mean, come on. It is stunning. It's not something I've read before in terms of like setting for a fantasy novel. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated on my progress and what books I end up picking. And yeah, see you in the next clip. So it's much later, and let me tell you something. Today it is 24 degrees. As you can tell, it was a beautiful day, but I'm sadly already over it. I don't know what it is with Belgium, but it's either super cold and you're freezing your ass off, or it is so hot that you feel like you're at the center of a volcano and your skin is melting off. Like, there's no in between. I'm sweating in places that I don't want to feel sweat at. I washed my hair this morning. It's already super freezy. I cannot handle this. Just give me winter. I don't know if I'm the only person that feels this way, but I just don't like summer. Anyway, I thought I would update you on the reading that I've done over the past few days. I haven't been continuing Orlando very much. I'm probably going to be finishing that on audiobook because I listened to it on my commute to work, and I think I have like 2/3 of the book left, which is basically like 2 days of listening. I'm sure that I'll be able to finish it before the book club on Saturday. However, I did make some progress on Heartstopper. I think I'm like a fourth through the book. I don't want to rush it because obviously it's a graphic novel, so you can go through this very quickly. In this volume, Nick and Charlie are kind of not necessarily arguing, but Nick is considering a college or like a university for next year because he's graduating, and Nick wants to attend a college close by to where he lives so that he doesn't have to miss Charlie, but Charlie doesn't want Nick to just choose a college to be close to Charlie, if you get what I mean. Like, he wants Nick to choose what's best for him and not necessarily what makes him stay longer with him. And aside from that, they're also talking about sex and potentially going to the next level. So Very cute, very fun. They're just, yeah. This is such a wholesome book. What I love about the Heartstopper series is that they make stories for queer people that do not feel like depressing. A lot of the media that I have consumed about like queer couples and queer problems is that it is usually about like their problems and how awful it is, quote unquote, to be queer. And I'm like, it can be such an uplifting and such a fun experience. The Heartstopper series kind of proves that you don't have to be sad when you're queer. Like, you can have so much fun. It can be such a beautiful experience, and yeah, I love Alice for this. I've also noticed that the like illustration style, like the drawings have gotten an upgrade. So Alice is working on her craft. It looks so pretty. Then, as you could tell from the little clips that I showed you, I started The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I'm currently 44 pages through, so like I barely made a dent, so I'm not going to be able to finish this week, but that is not really the goal. I'm thoroughly enjoying this one. Like I said, this follows our main character Lucia, who works as sort of a kitchen maid for a noble family in Madrid. Now, the family that she works for is not necessarily like the highest within their class. Like, you can tell that the lady of the house, which is called Valentina, I think, you can tell that she's trying to kind of like climb the social ladder. One day, this lady Valencia notices Lucia performing magic, and she sees it as a perfect opportunity to exploit her and basically invite tons of her friends and other people from noble families to these dinner parties where Lucia has to perform magic for them, and in that way she's able to, or at least like Lady Valentina is able to climb the social ladder and gain fame and recognition. Very interesting. Like I said, I've never read a book, like a fantasy book set in Madrid. I also visited Madrid a few years back, so this is kind of bringing back pleasant memories. Definitely gonna continue reading this. It's lots of fun. As I said, I'll keep you updated if there's anything of interest to tell you. Time for another day at work. So it is now Saturday. I didn't really vlog much the last few days just because I didn't have much to update on. However, I do have an update now. I finished Orlando yesterday on audiobook. I don't really know how I feel about this book. The thing is, like, it has all of the ingredients that I would like. Like, it is kind of like a period history book, but sort of with fantasy elements or like with some magic realism in it, I guess. Those are typically books that I really enjoy, but the writing style of this is so modernist. Like, it's very stream of consciousness, and I don't know why, for some reason, it doesn't really work for me in this book. I read Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf for university a long time ago, and I remember that book being a book that spans across like one day, contrary to this one, which is like, I know that I said earlier in the video that it was 4, but I think in the end it is 3 centuries. And for Mrs. Dalloway, that worked. I could completely be immersed in this woman's thoughts for like 24 hours. It made sense to be stream of consciousness. Like, that was kind of the perfect time limit, I guess. But 3 centuries of stream of consciousness are just, it's too much. It's too overwhelming. Half of the time Orlando was going on these tangents that I just could not follow. I'm leaving for the book club in like 5 minutes, so we'll see what the rest of my peers thought of this book. But yeah, I personally don't think Orlando's for me. I finished it, so I am kind of proud of that, but I think maybe it might have been too out of there, too modernist for my liking. So I just wanted to do like a final check-in on what I've read this week. I actually thought I would be reading more, but I'm gonna be honest, I've not been doing very well mentally the last few days. I've been quite distracted, and trying to read when I'm distracted is just... There's an ice cream truck. There was an ice cream truck like 5 seconds ago, and now there's another one passing through. I don't know if it's like the competition or something, but so I waited for the ice cream truck to pass. So yeah, like I said, I've been a bit distracted the last few days, and trying to read when you're distracted is just the worst thing, because I'm like, you're reading but it's not really going through, like you're just reading and it doesn't really absorb. I did not make as much progress as I'd like to. I did, like I said, finish Orlando, but that was because it was an audiobook, so when it's being read to me, I can at least focus on the narration of it, like I can focus on the audiobook. I think also because the narrative of this just lends itself to like have your mind wander off, because it is very stream of consciousness. I was not paying attention half of the time, but I discussed it with the other members of my book club, and they basically had the exact same experience. They all considered this a very innovative book for its time. They thought there were interesting themes being discussed, but not in the way that they had hoped it to be discussed, which I had kind of the same feeling about this one. And just the stream of consciousness for a lot of people was just too much. There were just way too many tangents, and after a while you kind of lose the plot, literally. We all are happy that we read this, but we don't think it is worth reading, I guess. So that's Orlando. By the way, if you're looking for a book club in the area of Antwerp, we're still looking for members. I say we, but like, I'm not the one who founded the book club, but I'm using the general term we. We're still looking for members. We meet up every single month, and it's very casual. The book club is called Chat and Chew, and we just chat and have a glass of wine and talk about the book that we read that month. We don't really take ourselves too seriously, but it is fun to like meet new people. So if you're looking for a book club in the area of Antwerp, do check out Chat and Chew. I'll leave the social media information in the description below, so you can always check it out. Next up, I did read a bit more out of the familiar. I think I'm now around like 100 pages. Very much enjoying this one. I also think I've just been introduced to the love interest, although like just the way that he's being described just makes me think, okay, this guy is gonna be the love interest. It seems to be sort of like enemies to lovers or something along those lines. Like there's no romance at this part of the book, which I like a slow burn. I don't want them to instantly be on top of each other. There's also no clear attraction yet, but I do feel just the way that this dude is being introduced and the characterization of him. He's supposed to be like the tortured bad guy, and this typically means that they're gonna be the enemies to lovers dude. If you want to know how I feel about this book, do follow me on Goodreads and Storygraph. My username is @booksbyanneleen. I typically always review what I've been reading, even if it's like a short one-sentence review. We'll keep continuing with this one for the next month. Lastly, there was Heartstopper, but I've not really been reading in it anymore since the last time I updated. I think I might just read a bit tonight. Since this is a graphic novel, I think I might be able to focus on this one a bit better than just written text. I'm gonna keep on continuing this one, and I'm sure I'm gonna love it because Heartstopper is always a win in my book. Sorry if this kind of ended on a low note. I just want to be candid and not pretend like I'm fine when I'm not feeling the greatest. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to catch you in another video in a better mood maybe. I don't know. Bye.